Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and welcome to the Circuito de Gaia, also known as Macau City Circuit. My name is Wouter Woert, and I'll be your commentator for tonight. I'm joined on the cameras with Mr. Chris Hill, and he might also do some talking tonight. And we will help you through today's event. Welcome, Chris.
Good evening, Wouter. How are you?
I'm fine. How are you doing?
I'm okay. Are you very much looking forward to this event tonight?
Yeah, Macau is a tricky circuit, so I'm looking forward to it and hoping for a fun race. Something to hope for tonight?
Yes, I'm certainly hoping for some fun. I mean, we've been watching, practicing. We'll go to qualifying very shortly, but we've heard some thuds and bangs as people are hitting the walls, haven't we?
Yeah, we saw some practice shot with a lot of wall taps, with Macau being a long and tricky track with the infamous Macau hairpin, which is one of the tightest corners around the world on racing circuits. We'll be driving today with the Formula 3 cars in the Formula 3 Championship. And in the championship order, it will be Sam Speckling on top, then Alexander Delors, then Daan Lensen, who all three still have a chance to get the championship in this last race. So there has to be something to see what will happen with the championship. We saw Alexander Delors topping the timing table in practice with just 700 of a second in front of Sam. So I hope there will be some close racing for the win here. But you'll never know with Macau.
Oh,
As we're
you've got more experience here than I have. This is the first time I've ever seen the circuit, so I'm very much newbie to this. Shall we set off to qualifying? Because qualifying is currently underway.
yeah, we'll be headed in qualifying to see how the drivers are doing there. Yeah, here we see. I talked about him, Alexander Delors driving. Well, actually, we're seeing trees. Here he is, Alexander, driving to the narrow streets of Macau, um, uh, entering the hairpin here, which I talked about, and I believe also in the race room the sim will be using today is a permanent yellow flag there. So, if all goes well, we won't see any overtaking there, because it's just impossible to fit two cars side by side through there, as he taps the wall a little bit with the tight turns. A car with quite a bit of downforce, it's still a tricky one that you try and don't hit the wall while we're entering a lap of the Macau circuit with the long straight from the start finish with a few flat out bends through it. Uh, here we have here we are coming up to a little kink to the right, which will be about flat out for these drivers. And then we come to a heartbreaking point where we saw the Sophia Fleurs crash a couple of years ago, um, which luckily everyone survived. And then we're heading onto the narrow part of the circuit, going through turns 4, 5, and 6, I believe, through the narrow streets up the hill. Some fast turns here, and some blind turns with the walls being high and high level difference. Going through another blind corner, which you can see and just have to know how it will go, and can't use any marks on the left. Touching the wall a little bit. Doing great to steer that car through there. And he returns to the garage as we are doing a solo qualifying, so you won't have any traffic on track. So he is standing here now waiting to go out for another time. Here we have Sam Spekelink setting a green first sector. Also heading onto the narrow streets of Macau up the hill. Um, as said, Sam Spekelink, being the championship leader, tries to get the championship here tonight, as this will be the last race of this season. The first race room season in Simsport racing. Um, As we see, 3 Dutch drivers hitting the wall a little bit. Um, as said, it's an amazingly tricky circuit, which you can almost call the Nordschleife of the streets, with it being a long lap. We saw some 2 minutes 15s in the practice server, um, and being close to the walls tricky. Um, you have to absolutely nail it to be fast around here, and you have quite a bit of taps around here. It's just amazing to see these drivers navigate through the streets. A bit of lockup, as instead of GT3 cars or cars, these cars don't have any ABS or TCS, so it's all on the driver its own hand. While going to the hairpin, having a nice exit, looking to challenge the time of the Lore, which is only 4 tenths behind, and then we have 1.5 seconds Yannick Velenduk, and then with 3 seconds Nart Cox, which you can see on street circuits. If you don't get the absolute perfect line, there will be quite a bit of a gap between the drivers. Also, Dan Lenz is setting a time 2 seconds behind Alexander, who's still at the fastest time. Well, Sam Spakeling actually has the fastest time with only 300ths of a second. So you saw in the first sector he was a bit behind Alexander, and he made it all up in the other parts of the circuit. While we're at on board with Alexander, setting the fastest second sector. Uh, it's a small number for me, so it's quite hard to catch. But he's going to the third sector with a minor wall taps, but only 300. So we'll see how it ends up. Also in the race room, the timer, when the qualifying timer ticks down, the session actually stops. So you aren't allowed to finish your lap. So these drivers have to nail it, while Alexander goes to the top of the timing with 3 tenths again to set the tone for Sam. But as I was talking, you can't finish the lap if the counter has ticked down. So you actually have to plan it good to make it another lap. And also with no traffic on this circuit right now because of the qualifying system. Um, Here we see Yannick Valenduk trying to get his position for the 20-minute race one. Um, and trying to do his best, being 1.9 seconds behind Delore, looking what he can try and improve on his lap, to get this corners right. Seeing some buildings there, as it's a city track in Hong Kong, um, being close and narrow. We all know the famous Baku City circuit, the Monaco circuit, but this track is, as you heard from Chris, he never saw it. Not the most famous, but also you can call it quite infamous, because it's tricky. Only TCR, GT, and F3 race here, as far as I know, and yeah, it's just a spectacle to watch, and some great crashes happened here. So I hope we won't be seeing any of them tonight. Seeing some minor wall taps, but maybe that's also the key here. Probably not, but we have a limited amount of damage, because it would be very hard to drive around it then.
So,
With
Wouter,
what?
can you just explain what you mean by the qualifying? They can't see each other. Is it almost like the sim has got like a single qualifying session for each of the drivers?
Yeah, they have a single qualifying session. That's also why you see Yannick now standing into uh, just before the last turn. They have their own track available, so they won't have any traffic. While on a server with 40 drivers or so, that would be quite handy. Now it isn't the biggest issue, but so they don't have any issues with other drivers crashing and driving into them. People blocking the track, traffic on the lap, so have the biggest advantage. So Daan setting P3 with 5 tenths, and just behind Sam is quite a good achievement. But he won't be able to set another lap. And here we see the qualifying results. Alexander Delors on pole position with 5/10 gap on Sam's. Well, said too early. Sam Spakeling gets the pole position from Alexander with 4/10 on Alexander Delors. Then we have Dan Lenson on 1 second, Nart Cox on 2.5 seconds, and Yannick Valenduk on 2.5 seconds, which absolutely says nothing for now, as we'll be heading into the first of 2 races. The first race will be a 20-minute sprint race, and then we'll have a second race which will be 30 minutes and a top 10 reverse grid. So we'll see what comes out of there. We had the qualifying now, and let's see what the race brings. Do you have any expectations, Chris?
Sorry, I'm just hoping that there's no big incidents. There are only, I think, 7 drivers in this event tonight. The 7th driver's just joined. You might not have seen. But yeah, some close battles. I think there will be. From watching some previous rounds, I think there certainly will.
Yeah, I hope there will be some close battles. We'll see how it goes. We'll see the grid here. 15 seconds to the green flag, as it will be a standing start. Yeah, we will see what they go through then with a long straight. It's not straight, but the long flat out piece to turn 1. As we will be waiting for the green flag on the track. And lights green, and Sam has a good start, some minor wheel spin, and the 7th driver didn't come away very well. Dave Jr., the only USA driver in this session, already going a bit side by side, trying to see for the gaps there, and slowing in behind each other to get the line right for this turn. Going into the big braiding point, we will see who tries and makes a brave move on the driver in front. We'll see drivers going to the side because this is still a wide part of the circuit, and there are no major dives through here yet, and also still clear. So great job from the drivers. As Sam Spankling comes up the hill in first position, with behind him still Dan Lenson, and then Alexander. So he lost the position there. Valenduk, Cox, Travers, and Junior. So no major position changes except for the P2 and P3. And now we'll see how it goes through the end of the lap. On board with Patrick Travers here, going through the twisty turns of Macau. Yeah, and trying to get behind them and losing the car a bit, but saving it. Great job by him. Trying to get the toe back from the cars in front and trying to survive that lap, because we will see how it will go in the hairpin. We all saw some minor tips there. So I hope it will all be clean. And we still have Dave Jr. on a quite big gap here with Nart Cox through the hairpin. All goes very nice and well. Yeah, a bit slowing down, but otherwise you just wouldn't make it. So here we see a bit of spread out in the field already. And yeah, we'll see what happens for the next 70 minutes. So far, a clean start, which is nice to see. Some position shuffling, see if we will have any further, which I hope. And now we are on board with Sam Spakeling within his mirrors, Dan Lenson, trying to get that win from him, trying to maybe still challenge him for the championship, which will be a hard task, but he will try for it. To be crowned try and crown the champion, as he gets an excellent toe out of there alongside Sam Spakeling to the first braking point, and he tries and get it, brakes right, and they're side by side through the turn and they have contact, and Dan hits Sam, doesn't get the position, was quite good for it, tries and get it back. Sam would be happy to still have that position. And now he also has the lore in his back mirror, um, and he hits the wall there, so that just completely puts him out of focus, or he might just pick up a little bit of damage, as the lore tries and gets Lancer right now to see if he can get past him, which is tricky on the narrow streets here. So he might just hang around there, wait for the start-finish straight and the straights after that, and try and pass him there. As you saw, you can get an excellent tow there, as demonstrated by Lenson on Spakeling. So Spakeling has now a breathing air. Just try and maximize his apexes and exits. With in the background, we have Nart Cox and Yannick Valenduk behind each other. They're also battling for position. Um, and yeah, Nart Cox here. We see him on the screen going to the hairpin on the narrowest part of the circuit. Don't try and go there for a move. Getting it great so you can get behind on the wider pieces of the track. So you can try and make an overtake there. Getting the slipstream right. Uh, not braking too late. And try and get that gap. Also, Sam Spakeling also has already a 4 seconds gap on them, so they'll just try and finish the battle on their own. Uh, while Lanson is 5 seconds 5 tenths, sorry, behind Spakeling, so maybe he will try again for a slipstream on this straight. And also Valenduk will most likely try for an slipstream here. Here we have Lanson within his mirror on 1 second the lure. So he gained a bit of time on the... And he gets for the toe again. Tries to do it again, probably. On the inside of the car. Alongside him. And will he make the braking point this time? They brake on the same time. Going side by side. Having a bit of contact again. We will try and get the position. And he goes down the inside on Spakeling. And they're still side by side almost. Up the hill. Through the fast corners. Who will get the position out of this? This is a very close battle. And absolutely brave from these guys to drive like this. And he gets the inside and gets the position. And he spins. He lost it. He misses his front wing. He will be passed by Valenduk. Lenson. He got a bit of a hit with Delore. This is absolutely horrific for him, as he just gained the lead of the race and already lost it and loses his front wing. So we'll see a big tap with the wall, and he will be most likely out of the race for race 1. While Spakeling now has an opponent less in his mirrors to look out for. Now he has the lore in his mirrors to defend for, going through the narrow part. So you try and get him off his back right there. With also there getting close by is Valenduk in 1 second now. Having a bit of a gap on Nart Cox through the hairpin. And now on the wider parts where you want and get that slipstream from the car in front. So maybe he will try and do the same move as Lenson did. Also, Dave Jr. already being on a lap. So he might just went back to the pits and wait for the second race, as the lore has the slipstream, takes a look on the inside, but still waits for it, as there isn't time enough to make the move down in the last turn. But he will try and get slipstream now from the start finish, through the kinks and through the first braking point. And also he has to watch out from Valenduk in his mirrors. So it's a close slipstream train, which will be the key to overtake here. With there also Nart Cox getting behind them in the screen, having a big gap already on Patrick Travers, who might be just struggling a bit with this circuit, as they go down the inside with a slipstream train 3 wide, it seems like, into turn 1. Dolores down the inside, but still the same as we saw last lap around. Side by side, having some taps, with still being side by side up the hill. And he shuffles in behind him. Watch out for Valenduk behind him, which can also try something. Try and not spin it here like Lanson did. And actually, well, it seemed like Valenduk had the lure for a second, but he got the positions back. I will see some driving here, while Spakeling has a bit of an oversteer moment. You see how these drivers are tackling this difficult track to drive on and doing an amazing job here. Um, well, we have a few minutes left on the clock with a big tap which from Sam on the wall there, heading onto the hairpin and try and get the gap there, because you saw a few times now already how the slipstream there is a big key in this race. While in the back mirrors of Valentuk is Cox already showing up again. And here we are on board with Spakelink. In our back mirror is the lore trying to get slipstream again. As you see, he is closing in a bit. With these cars having no DRS or ERS, just pure power and downforce, and trying to get slipstream from the car in front. No effects which will help him. As we're heading through the last turn onto the start finish for the Kings and the big flat out part where we saw the most action already. Trying to stay slipstream, no slipstream braking it seems so far from Sam. So yeah, Dolores closing in through the flat out King to the right, trying to get close behind him and dive down the inside as he goes side by side with him, trying to go down the inside in turn 1, and they still make it stick side by side, going again side by side through the next turn there, heading up the hill, and Sam still at the position, who must have quite an interesting race with being side by side through turn 1 for 4 laps in a row now, while we're halfway through the race. With having a bit of an oversteer moment, Alexander Delore is looking in his mirrors and still trying to intimidate him from behind. So he tried to do his best from there. And stick behind him on this part where Sam quite showed where he's the strongest, while he hits the wall there with his back tire, making it great for Alexander to close up. Maybe not trying for a move there around the outside, having a bit of a slide, and also Valenduk in the background having a bit of a slide. Amazing battle between these guys, and also the guys who are battling for the championship. So, and actually Delore goes down the inside from Sam there. Absolutely brave move, as Sam made a mistake, and that's quite narrow part of the circuit. So Spankling has now to watch out for Valenduk in his mirror, who is trying to get slipstream from him, and Delore has got the race lead with 8 minutes to go. Well, we see Valenduk in the mirrors of Spakeling, who now has to watch out and also try and attack on the same time to get that gap. Where we see Dan Lens, and he hits the wall again. Sorry, I wanted to say Dan Lensen being 1 lap behind, so he will 2 laps now. He is most likely in the pits and see what the race 2 brings for him. While in the mirror of Sam Spakeling, we see Yannick Valenduk closing in. If he can make it stick round this corner, he would be close behind him. Maybe he can look, while he doesn't have enough toe to be side by side him. So now we won't see side by side action to turn 1 for a long time. And the lore hits the wall there, breaking a bit too late. So Spakeling and Valenduk can close in, with Valenduk being really close behind Sam here. But you can't really look for a move there with this fast corners between those narrow walls. As they're all 3 driving close behind the 6/10 of a second, they can all almost smell each other's sweat from this intense driving here. Having hit the wall again here, quite a lot of action we're seeing here. Bit of wall taps, some sparks already, with Spakeling closing up to Delore. Bit of an oversteer snap from Valenduk through the tight corner, hitting the wall there, hoping he doesn't have any suspension damage, and trying to get behind them. as he might lose a bit to the car in front, with Spekeling also going wide again in the same corner uh, onto the hairpin, so trying to get behind him for the big slipstream part where you can try and set up for the overtake, as this will be crucial for the overtake. When you don't get this right and loses the slipstream here, you won't be close enough to make an overtake, while he is close enough, so he will try and go for the overtake, probably into the first braking turn of the circuit. While they're heading to the last corner, which also can be tricky when you try and go through it too fast. And they're going on the start finish for the 6th lap of the race. Only 2 tenths separating there. He might already close in on him before the king. And yes, he does it. And they seem like side by side. Yeah, they're going side by side. Amazing stuff. With Sam having the better line, it seems. Going side by side for the whole piece. The radar must be going wild here. And try and go around the outside. While Delors still has the inside, and he has the slower part with having to dodge that wall there. So he doesn't make it stick this time around. Amazing driving from both of these guys. Uh,
Certainly an interesting race so far with these chaps. Bit of love tapping here and there, bit of wall banging. It's a pity for Dan Lenson. You can see whereabouts Dan is at the moment. Yes, you're right. He is held in the pits. As we go back to the battle for the lead.
Yeah, here we see Sam Spekeling. I just had some connection issues with the screen, so Chris had to take it over. While Sam is still behind, and as we saw, Lance in the pits. Absolute great battle with still being close behind, looking and try to stay for that through the hairpin, and going then for the slipstream part, which being really close behind. And watch out if he does, so he doesn't touch him. Well, he touches him there. Try and make that gap good enough to try and overtake him there. Going through the second to last corner, which is also a pretty fast one. Going behind him again to get that higher top speed and go for the overtake, while Valanduk and Cox are still in the screen. There you see Valanduk, and there we see Nord Cox also trying to get there. Cox just trying and drive around as fast as he can, and hoping that one of the 3 top drivers will make a mistake and he can get to the podium. As we saw Spekeling go looking for the move, but he is here. Delors breaking the slipstream, getting the inside, pushing him back to the left side, and again going through side by side through turn 1. And now actually Sam makes it stick, but he's still, yeah, he makes it stick and he gets the first place back with only 3 minutes remaining. So this is most likely the penultimate lap of the race. And trying to get his lead even more and hold onto it, so Delors won't get it back on the next lap around, which will be the final lap. Trying to also get around the circuit without any major issues. As we saw, you can lose your front ring here if you crash, by demonstrated by Dan Lenson, sadly. Going in the pits and hoping for the best result on the next race. Still Valanduk hanging in there behind. Good third place. Bit of sliding through there and hitting the wall actually. Just showing how close to the edge it is on these cars. Going through the hairpin for second to last time. Sliding again. Trying to get away from Delors there as much as he can. On his championship rival. And Delors is getting good in behind. A bit further gap than Spakeling had sometimes around, but still not big enough for Spakeling to relax on the straight. As he goes a bit wide there, has to turn in more, loses a bit of speed. Going through the last corner here, trying to get that position there. Going full throttle now, not trying to spin it around without the TCS. Uh, Having a really nice cam here, seeing this battle, trying to get behind him directly as possible. Sam Spakeling trying to break the toe to deny Alexander his overtaking opportunity. To the last king, through the last king, also going through the right. He saw some defending from the lure, weaving to break the toe, trying to go around the outside. Will make it stick? No, and he actually hits the wall. So that means Yannick will get the second position with the last lap being driven now. So that's he made it the move all or nothing, and he hits the wall there, still being in front of Cox, but also he will be in his mirrors, um, trying to get a piece out of him. He also lost his front wing, so I don't know how fast he will be going through these turns. With missing that front wing arrow. Uh, so as I said, Nart Cox just waiting there, trying, hoping for someone to make a mistake, and it happened. So he gets the third place and finishes off the podium for now. Bad luck for Alexander Delors in the last lap of the first race here, and Spakeling can relax a little bit now without having someone directly in his mirrors. Only 2 seconds, just 2 seconds separating here. Here we have Patrick Treffers, who might get the position from Delors, which will be a challenge, but certainly not impossible. With Delors driving without a front wing, and there we have Spakeling going out of the hairpin for one last time this race, driving to the second to last corner, trying not make any mistakes, as we saw it almost, and we saw it in real life. Some mistakes are being made in the last turn. I don't want to jinx it, and he goes to the last turn, and he goes to the finish line to win the first race. And this might actually be the race which confirms his championship, which I can't confirm yet. In second, we will have Yannick Velenduk, being third place for quite a big time and having the luck with Alexander dropping out. Nart Cox, fourth place, promoted to third place on the last lap. He might be happy with it. Delors will be fourth after trying to get for that victory, but having brake too late and killed his front wing and hit the wall quite hard. Patrick Travers, last man on track, but also rounding out the last corner to finish his race. And he could be happy with it that he just survived it. So there we have the end results of race 1, with the race winner and fastest lap setter being Sam Spakeling. Second place we have Yannick Velenduk on 4 seconds gap. Then we have Nart Cox on a 10 seconds gap. Then we have Alexander Delors on a 15 seconds gap. And then we have Patrick Travers on a 45 seconds gap. Which will most likely be the pole position for the next race, as the top 10 will be reversed grid. And I'm not sure if the DNF drivers will be in front then, or they will be at the back because they didn't finish the race. So, Chris, what did you think of the action we saw in race 1?
Well, I lost count of how many times they kept swapping positions at the first corner. Sorry, I'm just watching another screen to make sure I don't lose connection. Yeah, certainly side by side action, and as you mentioned in the commentary, the radar, you probably couldn't see it, but the radar that I was looking at that guides me at the close battles was just going swapping cars over from Sem to Alex to Sem to Alex to Sem to Alex as they were going through the next complex of turns.
Yeah, being close battles with these guys. Not really what I expected, but certainly what I wanted. And being great racing from both of them, and also in the beginning we also still had Lanson in the battle, and also he was doing great. And all of these drivers, it's just amazing to see these cars drive around the circuit that fast and that good.
It is, and you expect a little bit of wall banging. It's unfortunate for Alexander there in that first race, um, clouting the wall next to the last lap, but didn't lose as much time as I thought. When I saw his front wing had gone, I was expecting him to drop really far back, but he still managed to claim fourth place, was it?
Yeah, he claimed fourth place. Well, we're heading now onto race two. I mean, I don't know when the grid will be ready, but then we will see who will get the pole position. If it will be David Jr., who missed the first race, or it will be Patrick Travers being the last one who finished the race um, on the Macau circuit, and trying to see a nice repetition of the last race. As we know, the slower drivers uh, are now in front of the pack. So if the drivers like Sam, who set the fastest lap last race, will get to the front, they will have to pass some other cars. So it will be quite interesting to see. Also, this race being 10 minutes longer than last one. We will see what comes from this, and I hope we will see as much as action as we saw last time around.
Yes, certainly. I'm just trying to log back in there.
As we are now seeing some nice snapshots of the circuit here with the hairpin, where you can see how close it gets on the exit, and just these shots from the wall, um, through the wall, seeing the cars drive, and the bigger, wider pieces of the start finish and the end of the beginning of the lap of this 6 kilometer long circuit, um, which hosts the Macau Grand Prix and is also driven by F3 cars in real life. Lovely to see. Maybe not the most lovely track to drive if you don't really master it yet. Maybe if you completely master this one, it could be one of the nicer to drive as it's flowing with the fast corners. Um, and I think when you set a good, uh, an absolute flyer. Yeah, where here we have the grid with Dave Jr. being on pole position, light flashing, and we will going lights green for the second race today. Dave Jr. has a good getaway with Dan Lenson on his inside. Dan Lenson goes away better. Um, and also, yeah, Dave Jr. has a worst uh, start you can think of, as he loses almost every position he gained by starting in front. With Dan Lenson actually taking the lead with Delore there behind, going all through the side, trying to go down the inside everywhere, slipstreaming with Delore and Lenson. It seems like they are in side by side in front, uh, with Spakeling behind, having some minor wall taps, and I believe Junior and Travers had a bit of a hit there as they are quite far back now. Here we see Dan Lenson driving in front with Delore defending from Spakeling. Um, Spakeling behind him. Actually, Spakeling goes into the wall, trying to go too fast there. Nart Cox try in his mirrors, so he might also try and go for the overtake. Pretty close racing here, continuously in each other gearbox for this first lap of the race. Well, I actually have to correct myself. This race is only 20 minutes long. As they're heading through the narrow streets, heading to the hairpin, with Lanson getting away, with Delore having Spakelink in his mirror now real close. And there it's Nard Cox, Valenduc, and then already a 5 seconds gap to Dave Jr. and Patrick Travers, who are the first. Both were in the top three of at the start of this race and lost all the positions in the first lap. Well, actually the first corners, and Spakeling gets a tap from his, I believe, teammate Nart Cox, which you don't want to do around here. Getting that slipstream. Also, Delore getting the slipstream from Lanson, so it will be double wall. He actually makes a slide and touches the wall there, loses all his speed, and Spakeling hits him in his gearbox. Not a big impact, no damage done as it seems now. And also hitting the wall there a bit. Trying to get into the slipstream through there. Actually, Lanson got a 1 second gap on the lore, which will give him a little bit of breathing space. But with the slipstream here, it might get close real fast. Well, we're on looking at Spakelink right now, who is getting instantly the slipstream of the lore and trying to make the pass. We know what happened last race with these guys, and we'll see if we will get a repetition of that. As now the positions are the other way around, with Lanson, who was in third and second and first for some time before he DNF'd. The lore in second for most of the time of last race, and Spakeling in first. But they were all close together, so we'll see what happens from this. Trying to get each other slipstream through the fast blind corners around here. Left, right, some fast turning of your wheel, having a bit of an tire taps, but you can't count on any of these drivers that they won't hit anything because it's so tricky to drive around here, very close, and with these cars they have a bit of downforce, but they aren't Formula 1 cars, so they are a bit handful to play around with. I personally like to drive these kind of cars. It's a pretty amazing to drive them around here. As Spakeling has a bad drive through the hairpin, which will make him lose a bit of time, as Delore is up around 5/10 through the whole street section, going on the wider section now to the start finish and to the part where we saw almost every overtake last race. Around with the first 3 laps, first 2 laps being completed now. The positions are still Lanson, Delore, Spakeling, then Cox, then we have Yannick Vellenduc with being 4 seconds behind, and then we have Dave Jr. and Patrick Travers both being 18 seconds behind, who had some bad luck on the first lap. As Delore looks down the outside, get it really close behind him in the slipstream. Lens goes absolutely to the right to defend his place, makes Delore go the long way around, will make it stick, going side by side through turn first braking point. It's actually turn 3, and he gets position. They both scrape the wall a little bit, and now Delore will try and drive away from Lanson, who has to look in his mirrors for Spakeling. And actually, it seems Lansing tries down the inside, but he doesn't make it stick. Spakeling having a bit of oversteer. And then we have Cox and Valenduc in the screen battling it out with each other. But still a battle for the lead, which is amazing to see. Between Lanson and Delore, which are P2 and P3 in the championship. And maybe they're having a scrap there also, with Spakeling behind, having the lead momentarily. So they have to get a gap on him. Both Lanson and Spakeling hitting the wall there, as we saw them doing a bit of more times last race. Going through the last turn for this hairpin and trying to get an amazing run out of there for the slipstream, as there might be even a double try for overtake here, as both Lanson and Spakeling will have the slipstream here. And Delore will try and deny it for both of them. And they will try to just get the air to brake in front of them by the car of Delore and get the tow from there, where they're heading to the last corner, going safely through there. onto the long slipstream part, and they are definitely closing in. So they have the slipstream, and now the lure will most likely try and break it as Lanson makes a look down the outside through the kink, but he doesn't do it. Just holds it in and now goes through the last kink to slipstream for the start finish. As Spakeling is also very close behind, almost in the gearbox of Lanson, making it almost 3 wide, looking to the middle there, going in behind Lanson, and he goes straight on into the wall there. So the championship leader is into the wall. He gets passed by Cox. Um, and he is going again. Well, we are actually Yannick Valenduk is the drop down to P7, which means he had a bit of an incident, and Sam Spakeling absolutely having no front wing here, having a bit of an issues with the front grip now, also making him virtually out of this race again, as we saw last race around. And
That's interesting.
um, uh,
You can't explain that one, can you?
well, here we have Alexander Delore. Now having no Spakelink behind anymore. Now just having to drive away from Lanson. Um, while Yannick Valenduk having some issues. We just call it Macau things, I believe. And there we have Lanson close behind. Actually, this might spice things up for the championship, as Spakelink is probably going to have to pit, which will make him lose positions. Maybe he will try and get it back and make him drop to P6, as Valenduk will most likely not overtake him, with him being already 2 minutes behind. And Lanson here in the slipstream of the Lord, trying to get the slipstream out of there and make it stick into the first turn. Seeing if he can get it there. He's a bit of a piece behind, but he is actually getting the slipstream there, going to try and go for the overtake. The lore makes him go the way around, and he actually, yeah, they're going side by side. It seemed for a second he was having an advantage there, and also driving again in each other gearboxes. So close it is here up the hill, through the fast corners of Macau circuit. Uh, yeah, driving close behind each other, trying to push their absolute minimums now, as they both don't have a Spakeling to worry about, and maybe try and get for the go for the win, as they don't have a win yet. Well, Dan Lensen actually has 3 wins, but Alexander Delore will try and get his first win in this championship here, which will be an absolutely amazing race to win the last of the season, and also on this track, Macau. And after the incident which happened in the last lap of the first race, both of these drivers we are watching now at the front had broken their front wing in the last race, so redemption for both of them until now, as we had 11 minutes into the race, so 9 minutes left. We're on lap 6 of this race, and while we're going through the hairpin again here, North Cox being 5 seconds behind, also getting to the podium again this race for now. Spakelink being 12 seconds behind, with still without a front wing, so we'll see if he goes and drive without a front wing and help the walls make him steer through the track, or he still decides to pit for the front wing. Maybe he's making the thing, will I go pit and lose the positions and try and gain it back with a front wing, or we'll just try this, while Dave Jr. is on a 1 minute gap and Travers is on a 25 seconds gap. So here we see him driving also without a front wing, so don't know what happened there. So he also having a bit of understeer. and Trevor's still having his front wing. uh, Still having his front wing and trying to drive his best off this circuit, which isn't easy. Unique Villenduke still exploring this track on his own manner. Not much to say about him. Um, Alexander having a bit of a slide in the lead, 1 minute and 5 seconds. 1.5 seconds. Actually, my issue was that. So he is getting a bit of a gap on Lanson, which will be some breathing space for him. So if he just continues on like this, he will be in a good place for a good finish position at the end of this race. But still, it's Macau, and we saw some crazy things happen here already in this race and both last race. So everything can still happen. One misjudging a braking point, and you're sliding through with locking up the tires. Having a nice look through the narrow part onto the hairpin, turning on the bus stop sign, and going through there, having an absolute nice run. 1.8 second gap on Lancer, so he has, that's a bit too large gap to try and make a slipstream overtake into turn 1. As they're driving behind each other, they still can see each other, but he isn't a big of a threat as he was. While we see also Nart Cox going up in the background, still looking and hang around there, also doing great, as he didn't have any major issues till now, with only 5-6 minutes to go in this race. So Delore trying his best to do good and consistent laps, and don't make any issues. Maybe try and get the fast lap too, as he has clean air. As the gap is 2 seconds here between Alexander Delore and Dan Lenson. We actually saw 2 front wings laying there into the first turn, so you can see where the where most of the front wings get collected. As we saw Junior Ed Spakeling driving without one. And Lanson on a 1.8 second gap still trying to get behind him, but does he have enough in the car and in himself to get back to the rear of the Lore, who is driving, I don't want to say confidently in front, but still doing great. Yeah, here we see him close, 1.4 seconds. So he gained a bit back with that slide. He lost a couple of places. What are your predictions, Chris?
Sorry, I switched my mic off then. I think Alexander, if he doesn't make any mistakes in the next 4 minutes, has won this race. But Dan's 2.5 seconds behind now, so I think something might have just happened to him at the hairpin. So he's still got his front wing there, so he's not carrying that type of damage on him.
Yeah, front wings trying to get help here is a bit of thing. Lord trying to get his first win here. And yeah, they're still looking 4 minutes to go, so approximately this will be the penultimate lap.
I mean, Alexander was unlucky in the first race, wasn't he? To have that incident on the final lap, where he lost his lost his wing, and then dropped down to 4th, I believe. That's twice I've forgotten which position he finished in.
Yeah, he dropped down to 4th, and there we actually saw 2 front wings lying. Spakeling's also in 4th, so if he won't lose a position, Delore will get the championship gap. Won't be any difference than how it's now, as they both finished first and fourth in the race, but still we can't close any case, which can happen here as he's driving green sectors here. So he's trying his best, maybe to try and challenge for the fastest lap, which I can't see who is in possession of it now, but still, he's driving on the absolute minute.
It's unlikely that Patrick will, I'm just focusing on now, will catch Sem. It looks like there's a 7-second gap between those two drivers. Dave Jr. I think is still running, but as you said before, without a front wing, he's just plodding along with probably the intention of finishing this race.
And just finishing here is already an accomplishment. As he is now 1 minute and 26 seconds behind. That's still about 45 seconds in front now of Delors, which is going through the final turn right now. So we saw Junior going through first braking point, and he already finishing lap, going into lap 9 here for the last lap of the race. This will be so he will try and get the best result out of this. So he still has to make it clear through some tricky turns which you can't deny, and still has to do the absolute best to finish this race in P1. We're going through the tight section up the hill for the last time this evening, this event, and also this will be the last lap of the first championship. Trying to not make any mistakes, making it look good for him. And there we have Lensen still driving behind him on 2.7 seconds, so won't have anything with the slipstream to try and catch him. Yeah, they are driving now. You see the sparks flying and having a bit of drifting, almost like he's following the lines on the road for the streets here to the last turns, where before the hairpin, with still Dan Lensen behind with 2.8 seconds, who's still driving away from him, absolutely doing mega here through the hairpin for the last time around, getting a good exit there, and only having 2 corners away. But you can't say too early here, because you don't know who will win till the flag has dropped, as he was going to the last turn for the last time around here, and he will get his first win at the last race of the championship here at Macau Gaia Circuit. Our race 2 winner is Alexander Delors. Our P2 finisher is Dan Lensen, and in a bit of seconds there we see our P3 finisher Nart Cox, 2 P3s in a row. He can be happy with it. And then we'll see most likely our champion of this series, if he won't have any big things in it, without his front wing managing it from lap 3 or 4 to the flag now, getting around the final turn to finish in P4 for driving the most race without a front wing. Still a big achievement. There we have Patrick Travers rounding the finish for P5 finish. And then we wait a bit for Dave Jr. If he does have enough time to finish without his front wing, doing it amazing from the start of the race. I believe he lost his front wing at the first braking point of the race, and still driving those 20 minutes on this tricky circuit without any front arrow is a mega job. Going through the hairpin for the last time, managing it with a little bit less arrowed car. Well, a little bit. Half of the arrow is gone. Also making it to the second to last corner. Having a close exit to the wall. Afterwards, we go to the last turn to finish out the lap and finish out the race. And he finished in P6. And Yannick Vellenduc will most likely finish in 2 to 3 business days. Well, the fastest lap and the race is now possessed by Alexander Lohr in race 2 of today. With behind Alexander in P2, we have Dan Lensen, 3 seconds gap. Then we have Nart Cox on 11 seconds, finished from the leader. Then we have Sam Spekeling only finishing 35 seconds and without a front wing. It's quite an achievement, if you ask me. Then we have Patrick Travers in 45 seconds, and then with 1 minute and 48 seconds, without a front wing for 90% of the race, Dave Jr. And then did not finish Yannick Valenduc. Sad for him, but some issue probably nobody could solve. What did you think of this race?
Very enjoyable. Very enjoyable that race. When Alexander managed to get in the lead and break the toe of Dan Lenson, I think that was all over apart from any possible clashing with the wall or anything like that. So yeah, I really enjoyed that. Really enjoyed that. We've got 3 drivers wanting to come in for a chat, so I'll bring them in one at a time. So first will be Nard Cox.
Good
Hello.
evening. Good evening, Nart. Well, 2 P3s in both races. How was your race?
Yep. Fun race, but difficult track. Was my first time, so just happy to keep it out of the wall. That's basically why I got my P3.
Yeah, you were doing good to keep it out of the wall. Just being a bit on the background in the race, just driving around there, and getting.
Yeah.
Did you
It's
enjoy this track for the first time?
challenge-wise, yes, but it's not my favorite track.
Understandable. Well, we have the whole gang of the race here. And I think we go to our winner of the first race, Sam Spekeling. Welcome.
Hello.
Did you enjoy your first race?
Well, if you say it like that, first race, then yes. It was a good race. We had some great fights with Alexander and Dan going side by side in corners where you really shouldn't be side by side. So yeah, somehow we made it work mostly. So it was really fun. Also to see the guys that learned the track during practice, like times coming down so quickly, and then by the time the race was starting, everyone was right there or thereabouts. So that was really nice to see. And yeah, other than that, second race was a bit unfortunate losing my front wing. So yeah, no grip.
Yeah, we saw you going into the wall at the first breaking point, but also as you said, going side by side through turns where you don't want to go stride by stride through. As I know this track a bit, I was actually thinking, what are you doing? Amazing driving from all of these drivers. And yeah, congratulations on your first race win. Um, a bit disappointing from the second race, but as you said, no grip. Then we have our second race winner, Alexander Delors. Welcome.
Thanks.
And how was your second race?
Yeah, going quite well. I had a nice fight with Dan, basically all the way. So yeah, happy with that. First win of the championship. So happy
Yeah,
with that.
congratulations on that, on the last race of the championship and an amazing track like this. Of course, we saw the same thing about what happened with Sam in the second race happened with you in the last race on the last lap. Um, what did
Yeah.
happen there?
I mean, it was like the last chance to get in front, and yeah, just went for it. Brake too hard, locked up the front, and just went straight. So yeah.
Bad luck, but still drove it to the finish.
Yeah.
Amazing job by getting the second race win. Um, you must be enjoyed that, and also having the fastest lap in the second race. Then
Yeah.
we're going down the order. Yannick, yeah, I believe you had P2 in the first race.
Yeah, P2. Because Alexander hit the wall, of course.
Well, how did you feel about your race?
It was actually really fun. I wasn't really confident in practice at all. And somehow I just found it during the race, I guess. Maybe it helps to have people drive in front of you to know which way to go. And got a nice rhythm. And I could sort of follow the guys in front. Wasn't close enough for a slipstream, but yeah, it was quite enjoyable. Unfortunately, my game crashed in the second race, so that was a bit, annoying, but it happens.
Yeah, we were seeing you do some things a bit flying through the air in the last race. So, but I hope you will be happy with your P2. Nice on this track. Yeah, from the one his pain comes the other his enjoyment.
Exactly.
Well, then we have Dave Jr. Welcome. You missed the first race, but in the second race you started from pole, but I believe you lost your front wing already from the first braking.
Not hearing you, Dave.
Sorry, guys.
Oh,
Can you hear me now?
yeah,
Yes.
we
Should be
can hear
okay.
you.
Yeah, that was unfortunate. We lost the front wing. We had to sort of write this race off, unfortunately, due to some off-track scenarios. But it was fun getting out there. The car, we had to get adjusted to the brakes going into turn one, and that kind of caught us off guard. So lost the front wing. The car was then very difficult to drive, but awesome track, great season. It was just fun being out there.
Yeah, we quite enjoyed. Also, just great job from me by doing almost the whole second race without a front wing, especially on this track. I don't know if I said it enough, but it's amazingly tricky with the close corners. So great job to all of you having close battles.
Thank you. Thank
Uh,
you.
and as far as I know, Sam, you I believe you get the championship victory from the first race room championship.
Boop boop. Yeah, so I think I didn't actually look at that yet. So this championship was, of course, the first race room championship here, hosted by SSRI. So actually, like, it was really eventful. I must say the races from the get go, they were really fun. The pack was quite close together with these cars. They were easy to get into, yet not too simple to drive. I think everyone who competed, they can just say amen to the fact that the races were really fun. So with that being said, I hope for everyone who's watching that you will be joining next season after summer. And up until that point, we will host some fun races on Thursday evenings for Race Room. So if you ever wanted to try it out, come and join us. Sign up for the Race Room role in Discord, and yeah, we'll see you guys there.
Yeah, amazing words with the second race room season. Well, thank you to all of you guys for having this amazing race. I enjoyed it watching. I don't know if Chris wants something to say.
I've not got a real lot to say apart from congratulations, guys. That was a really enjoyable race, or a couple of races to watch, especially watching Yannick flying through the air constantly for a short period of time. And Sam, it was unusual to see you make a couple of mistakes.
Thank you, Chris.
No problem. Alex, congratulations on your first win.
Thanks.
And I would just like to finish by saying, Wouter, you've done an excellent job there with your commentary throughout that race. You did really well.
Thank you.
Thanks for commentating, guys.
Yep. Thank you guys for your efforts.
Yeah, Chris, Wouter, thanks for doing this and started to join us on the Race Room journey. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and thanks a lot.
Thank you very
Well, it
much
was
for
a
letting
pleasure.
us. Right, I think we'll wrap the stream up with that.
Bye bye, stream.
Bye bye, everybody. Love you
Bye
guys.
bye.
Alrighty, guys.
Is this? Bye bye.